All right, we are recording. Happy Monday, everybody. Hit record from home. I'm making art every day, collaborating with other people during this time of pandemic and quarantine, at least quarantine for me, if you're lucky enough to be quarantined. So today, science fiction, sci-fi.
I am thinking of donating my body to science fiction.
I love sci-fi. It makes me think of the future. I found a project that was started by DTA called One Possible Future. I was looking for something to contribute to. And I had actually, to be honest, already been thinking like, how we should do a sci-fi project. And then DTA started one. DTA, full disclosure, is someone I know. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for years. He's a great editor. He was an editor on our TV show, Hit Record on TV, and very cool that he's leading this project. And he's asking for writing contributions at this point. Don't know what this becomes. I'm curious to see what he has in mind. Could become, I don't know, an animated short film, an animated series, a graphic novel, or like a series of comics. Could become an audio story, podcast type of thing. Could be all of the above. A lot of different contributions already coming in. I read a bunch of them and incorporated 3 different ones into what I wrote. Care to is for me. Had a contribution called Warnings from the Future. Just short, actually. Future people should bring proof of videos with them and show it to all the president and media about this worldwide pandemic. Proof seemed like a really important concept to me. Astran contributed another short piece of writing. Be brave enough to reject dichotomous thinking. All or nothing, black or white, Republican or Democrat. This is the opposite of progress. The story I wrote kind of got to some of that same sentiment. I Big Dallas. I liked that this one was set in 2040. A lot of the contributions were setting their story further into the future. And for me, it felt like when I read this one by I Big Dallas coming from 2040, it just felt more impactful and more pertinent and in a way more realistic. I set mine in 2044. That felt better to me. So I resourced those 3 pieces, and why don't I just read you mine now? I called it The Messenger. This is a message from the future. The date today for me is September 1st, 2044. The date for you is April 30th, 2020. In order to prove my authenticity, here's some data that you do not currently have, but that you will be able to corroborate tomorrow. On May 1st, 2020, the day after you receive this message, the Dow Jones Industrial Average will close at 23,874.52. The average global 1 meter sea surface temperature will be 16.18 degrees Celsius, 60.94 degrees Fahrenheit, and the total number of deaths in the United States from the COVID-19 pandemic will be 54,237. I've chosen to send this message to you right now, at the end of April, because you are just now beginning to settle into a new normal. The coronavirus, as you currently call it, is still relatively new. As such, most of you still feel attached to your old way of life, but it's also been happening for long enough that most of you are now taking it at least somewhat seriously. The era of pandemic that is just now dawning in your day has not ended in 2044. There is still no vaccine for what you call COVID-19, just as there is still no vaccine for what you call SARS or HIV. We have indeed learned a lot about viruses, and while we've gotten better at disabling them, we've also gotten better at creating them. Today, the norm is microbiological warfare, and the only reliable way to stay alive is perfect quarantine. I could go into the details of life in physical isolation because from what I understand, I imagine you must be curious, but for me, it's all I've ever known, so it's not that big a deal, and it's not the purpose of this message. Some added context. I'm committing a serious crime by sending this message. Passing messages back to the past has become quite doable technically, as have many things you'd find incredible because technology has gotten so advanced and so inexpensive. But the powers that be don't want just anybody to be able to change the world with a few dashed off sentences, and so they've made messaging the past highly illegal. By doing this, I'm likely ensuring my own imminent death. However, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, so I'm pulling it off, at least for now, though I don't know how long I'll be able to stay hidden. Sooner or later, it could be an hour, it could be a couple days, they'll catch me. Unless this message can make enough of a change. What do I hope to change? Well, first of all, this message is not my attempt to unseat said powers that be. They're not the problem, they're a symptom. You might have noticed over the last few years, as the human race entered the 3rd decade of the 20th century, the world's civilizations were veering quickly into what seemed like authoritarianism. But it isn't authoritarianism. Authoritarians keep their power by force. Today, people voluntarily relinquish their own autonomy. 20th century dictators like Hitler and Stalin used to burn books they thought might threaten their ideological dominance. The holders of power in the 21st century don't have to burn books. People just stopped reading. In my day, technology has gotten exceedingly good at offering people just the right content, just the right product, just the right experience, just the right feeling. You're starting to experience some of this But what you know of recommendation engines and news feeds is like a slingshot compared to a nuclear bomb. People do absolutely nothing but follow their streams. They all laugh at what they're supposed to laugh at and cry at what they're supposed to cry at and feel angry and feel insecure and feel horny and feel thrilled and feel tired and fall asleep. And when I say people, I don't just mean the majority, I mean everyone. And I'm not exaggerating. This is true of every person I have ever been aware of. So I'll just be honest here. I'm lonely. I can't find anyone alive who intrigues me. I know it's possible because I can find traces of what I'm looking for in old books that no one else reads, but I can't find any actual people who make me feel that way. I imagine they're out there, and the algorithms just don't introduce us because our interactions wouldn't benefit the model. But I've been trying to hack my way into some kind of fulfilling relationship for a long time now, and as you can maybe tell by virtue of me getting this message to you, I'm a decent hacker. Still, I've failed. And so, here I am doing this. By tomorrow, either this will have worked, things will have changed, and I'll find somebody to talk to, or I'll be dead. Now it's up to you. I wish there were some kind of finite solution, a silver bullet, and I could lay out instructions for you and you could follow them and things would be better, but I don't think there is. I'm just hoping that perhaps the warning of a rogue messenger from the future is enough to make a splash and, I don't know, start some kind of movement. Not going to say what the movement should entail or what it should be called or anything like that because I don't fancy myself a prophet or anything like that. Just beware of the easy delight and the easy rage and the easy right and wrong and good and bad. Everything you think you know, ask yourself how you know, and ask what had to happen for that information to arrive on your radar. Everything you feel, ask yourself why, and ask who's benefiting from you feeling that way. As quarantine extends, and you're spending less and less time IRL and more time online, pay attention to the framework of the digital world that's forming. I know it feels tragic to give up the world outside, but what's far worse is giving up the world inside our own minds. To anyone reading this, I wish you health, self-determination, and love. So write one of these. Doesn't have to be long like what I did, or rewrite what I did. Build on top of what I did. If you like what I did, you could write a continuation of what I did. You could revise what I did. You could also just read through. There's a whole bunch of other contributions. I read a bunch of them, but I didn't read all of them. Hit the heart on ones you like, because then you can sort, and especially DTA, who's leading this project, can sort by hearts and see which contributions are really resonating with people. So read through a bunch, incorporate some of the ones you like into a remix, write some sci-fi. I'll leave it there. Thanks again.